Gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to my headquarters. It is a pleasure to have you visit today. We do not get many visitors in Turkey now since the war. Of course, we were allied with the Germans, and the British and the French very seldom visit us. I was able to brief the Kaiser toward the end of the war, and I told him it was impossible for Germany to win. I told him this in 1917. It was very, very difficult situation in Germany. People were starving, the economy was ruined, many things were so difficult. But please, where are my manners? Would you take off your jackets and sit down and rest yourselves, be comfortable? It's very hot in the desert. And of course, you being comfortable is most important. We can sit, perhaps have some tea, and we can talk about a little bit about the war. You may be interested in some of the things that we have done. Well, I of course was the division commander for the 16th Division in Turkey. We were assigned early in the war to Gallipoli. I anticipated where the British were going to attack, and I moved my division without orders to this particular position to stop this campaign in the Dardanelles. The British command was a bit stymied by all of the problems of working together in this new amphibious, I think you call it, warfare. Lieutenant General Sir Ian Hamilton, who commanded the Commonwealth forces, they were British soldiers, they were Australian soldiers, they were New Zealand soldiers, and of course from some of the other colonies in this British Commonwealth. They were the land forces who were attacking. But the real commander was Admiral Sir John de Roebuck. He had 5 battleships, very large ships. The guns from these ships frightened many of my soldiers. They were thinking of retreating as the British came ashore. I was very concerned that we would have a complete rout and our forces would be destroyed. We had defended well the upper part of the Dardanelles and the Sea of Marmara, but when the British arrived at Gallipoli, their big guns fired on our forts and our artillery could not reach their ships. But they made a mistake. These two men, this General Hamilton and this Admiral de Roebuck, they had their headquarters on different ships. They would have to send Morse code messages that were in code also, and decipher these messages. It would be a long time before, for example, 1 or 2 paragraphs discussing the changes in the operation could be made. The final attack before Gallipoli, the British ships with the soldiers aboard, they remained offshore 2, perhaps 3 days firing upon our positions. So we knew exactly where they were coming, and I moved my troops so that I could stop them. When they arrived with their machine guns and modern technology, my soldiers were frightened. They had not seen this type of warfare before. I, of course, had traveled to Europe. I had some training with the German army. I had fought in Greece. I had fought in North Africa. I had fought the Italians and in the Balkans. So our officers had seen much of this new technology, these automatic weapons, these rapid-firing rifles. And we had good rifles ourselves. We had the German Mauser, which was a very good gun. And of course we had some German artillery, which was very fine artillery, excellently made. It was very good. But my soldiers, as I said, they were frightened because they did not understand this multiple use of big guns from the ships, the artillery arriving on the beach, the machine guns that were used by the infantry moving forward to our positions, and they wanted to go back into the hills and fight in the style they were accustomed. You know, Turkish soldiers are very brave, but what they like is the knife. And we have trained them well with the bayonet, because it is similar to what they are used to with the knife, but on the rifle. They like to be close to their enemies and see their eyes. Then they are not afraid. But these machines crawling across the beach, pulling the artillery, and these giant ships that were firing on them, these were things, as I say, they were not used to. I brought myself to the front of my soldiers down near the beach, and I told them they were fighting for Turkey. This was sacred land that they were on. This was the land of our ancestors. So we must defend this. And the first soldier to run behind the position, he would be a coward and not respected by his family, by the other soldiers, or by anyone in the country. And if these men wanted to retreat, they would have to do it after they killed me. We were going to stop the British right there at Gallipoli, and we did. We fought for months. It was a very, very brutal fight. But perhaps enough of that. You know, it is now 1923. The war in the West is over. The Hohenzollerns in Germany have surrendered. They have lost their empire. The Habsburgs in Austria, they have surrendered. They have also lost their empire. Emperor Karl was a very good friend. He has decorated me 3 times with the Order of St. George in Austria. So I appreciate what they have done as allies. But I realized, as I said, in 1917 it was impossible for them to win the war. But we continued to fight. The Ottoman Empire was fighting the British and the French in North Africa, in Egypt, in Mesopotamia. But we were still fighting for 2 more years. And of course, you know, north of us, the Russians, the new Russian Empire. And I was the last commander who fought the Russians in our country as their Tsar was defeated and overthrown by these Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks fought the Polish 1919, 1920, 1921. So our borders were not secure. There was this war in Russia between the Reds, these new Bolsheviks, and the Whites, the old Tsarist forces. And they were fighting because the Poles were allied with the Tsarist forces. And we became involved because, of course, the battle lines moved north and south, fighting at the edge of Romania, at the edge of Bulgaria, and in Poland itself. We were neutral, in a sense. We certainly wanted the Poles to win, and not the Bolsheviks, because we had faced, for centuries, we had faced the oppression from the Russians. First from the Tsars, then from the Bolsheviks. For us, it was the same. We did not see any difference. Foreign policy for the Bolshevik was very similar to Tsarist foreign policy. Nicholas and Alexander before him, and his father Alexander, they were all interested in taking territory from the Ottoman Empire. They wanted Anatolia. They wanted our possessions even in the West, because they saw these as part of this pan-Slavic program that Russia would be the leader for all of these other people. You know Nicholas, he was not only Tsar of all the Russias, he was King of Poland, Grand Duke of Finland, Grand Duke of Estonia, Grand Duke of Latvia. He had these many titles in many places. His country had 9 time zones, but yet he wanted more. He wanted things from the Finns. He wanted metals and food from the Poles. He wanted from the Ukraine the food. He was how do you say in your language, a megalomaniac. He was a man we could not trust. But you know, I think there is an opportunity now that we have a constitutional monarchy. There is an opportunity to create democracy in my country. The Ottoman Empire has fallen. We have lost many of our colonies. Saudi Arabia is no longer ours. Egypt is no longer ours. Libya, where I have fought in 2 wars, is no longer ours. Greece is no longer ours. All of this since Versailles has changed. But I think we will be able to carve out a new land for the Turkish people, a new Turkey, and I want to be one of the leaders. I have joined with the officers and some of the politicians who would like to make changes in our country. And I am hoping we can create a democracy and protect all people, industrialize our country, build railroads, and become more like the West, become an open society where things can begin to change and we can progress.